when I got to California, I was like, I could do this forever. Like this is easy. There were days where I was getting, 80 miles of range off of a day of charging, which is more than most recreational vehicle drivers need.
Yeah.
Um, so there were days where that was happening. It was the weather was lovely, and California's beautiful. That whole West Coast is. I was surfing, rock climbing.
Some
I
people
had
say that.
way
Some
more.
people say it's a terrible place to live. Everybody likes to tell us how bad California is. I'm like, I don't know. I look outside. I'm like, it's beautiful
Look at
here.
all,
I don't know.
what is it that's saying? Look at all the space. That's what they say. Don't they? Look at all the
Yeah,
space.
I see.
No, no. It was absolutely beautiful. I mean, I have a lot more friends too on the West Coast of the United States, so there's more friendship sort of vibe, and yeah, it was really nice. And
Because you're
and
doing
just
this by yourself. You're traveling alone at this point.
I had a cameraman who came along for chapter one. His name's
Okay.
Keegan, and he left in Oregon because his visa was running out in the United States. So my
Uh,
visa was a bit longer than his, and also he has a girlfriend, and she wasn't too happy about me kidnapping him for like
yeah, months at a time.
6 month periods of his life. So
Yes. No, that probably would not
yeah,
work.
that's a funny story too. I never met him. I kind of like put some feelers out and said I needed someone to help with the cameras and and editing and stuff like that. And he applied for the post that I put up. And I never met him before until Fairbanks, Alaska. I literally met him in the airport at Alaska where I picked him
Wait, so
up.
you agree to have him without ever meeting him? That's
A
crazy.
stranger.
You
I
know
know.
what? I've always gone like that where I've decided to meet people, right? Because they're just a screen name in your phone or in your contact thing, and I've never met someone that's crazy that I'm like, oh my god, I gotta get rid of this guy. It's always been lovely people that are like, they're amazing. You know what I mean? Like, it never been. I've never regretted taking a chance on like meeting up with someone and spending time with them on some place where I've gone, or like fans or stuff like that, right? They always turn out to be real nice. But you could, I guess, get some crazies. I
Yeah,
guess
I
the
mean,
possibility.
I'm pretty open to that too myself. Well, obviously, I'm pretty open to that too. That idea of just meeting a stranger and having an adventure with them. There have been some like hairy circumstances where I'm like, okay, I need to get out of here, kind of thing. But for 95, 99, 98%, I don't know what the percentage is. It's like you described, just like it's like, oh, that was fun. I'm glad I've got a new friend now.
Yeah,
But this was different. It was like commitment. It was like, okay, you're going to live with me in this box,
yeah,
and we don't know what's going to happen. And I explained that to him too. I was like, look, I don't know what's going to happen. Maybe I'll just tell you to leave at some point in time because it doesn't work. And we kind of had
yeah.
all of those agreements before it happened. So, yeah. But basically, we went from Alaska to Vancouver together, and then we drove from there to Oregon together. And then he left, and then I did California and crossed into Mexico by myself, which was
Okay.
which was really nice. It was like another thing was a super different feeling. I had my space back, and I mean, it's not like I didn't have a good time because he was there or whatever. It wasn't that at all. It was just different. It was just all very different. We had lots of fun together, and we did a lot of cool film projects together and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, and then having my own space, and then I was just sort of like the master of the ship, but the ship was just manned by just me. So very different, but cool too. It was a fun time. So yeah, I'm doing it alone now. Now from now on, I'm like, and you're never alone either when you travel. You're never alone. There's just always someone, especially when you drive a vehicle like this. People see it and they're like, "What are you doing parking in this crap hole? Come and stay in my
Yeah.
beachfront property," or like, "Come and." Yeah, you always get those sorts of opportunities as well, which is lovely. I really enjoy that.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I guess yeah. If you're the type that you can travel alone, yeah, I guess it'd be great. If you're not, because a lot of people are really scared of being lonely, right? Like, and it could get scary sometimes, I guess, when you're out in new places. But I mean, you have the adventure spirit, obviously. You're traveling, so yeah, you probably can deal with that better than the average person. That's cool. So let's talk about the accident. What happened that got you stuck in Baja right now?
So we came down Baja, across the border. Keegan came back. He was planning on coming back for a bit more of the adventure before leaving again. Um, but he came back, so we were traveling together, and we were traveling in a convoy. We'd met another girl, Verde Vol Dentro. Her name's Bea. She's a solo female van lifer. And then some other people, like some people from Quebec. We sort of had this convoy going where we're all just driving down Baja together. And we got to a town called Catavina, which is about what 300 miles, 200 miles ish from Ensenada, or 400 miles from Tijuana,
South?
and south of Tijuana. And it's just before you get into the Valle de los Cirios, which is, if anyone's been to Baja or you haven't been to Baja, it's where all the cactus start. It's like the Sonoran Desert sort of starts,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and it's epic. It's just like, what am I looking at, kind of thing. So we kind of got there. We got just to there, and to get into that valley, you obviously have to drive down a mountain range. And what happens at that mountain range is that all the coastal winds from both the Mar de Cortez and Mar de Pacifico, they come up and they hit the mountains. And so the winds were just, I don't know, particularly that day, they were crazy. And we were driving on the highway, and basically the winds got underneath the solar panels, and I'd forgotten to put it's like a little bolt. It was like a 1/4 inch bolt, maybe not even a 1/4 inch. I don't know, less, but in for safety. And the winds got up underneath it and like lifted and sheared all the hinges of the array, and then just like flipped and ripped the whole array off the roof. It was all closed.
Wow.
It wasn't even deployed, and just like threw it, in the air, and it landed face down on the road and just bent and
Oh, wow. So the
distorted.
entire thing was destroyed. I mean, it was just
Yeah. I mean, luckily the van didn't get I mean, there's a huge ballast. Obviously, the weight of the batteries is going to keep it pretty stable, but the van didn't even get nudged. If your wheel comes off of the road, it could have been, you don't know what could have happened. So luckily that didn't happen, and it was just the solar panels, but obviously me seeing my solar panels in that state was like, what? Like, after all this, like, this is how it ends. Like, all of
yeah.
them, obviously that's like 15 to 20 grand worth of stuff just lying on the road, on the side of the highway in Mexico. I was like, what am I going to do? So
Oh,
yeah,
I see.
that happened. Basically, we gathered it all up, all the bits, all of the metal, we taped it all together, put it back onto the roof of the van, and we headed back north to a town called, we went back to Catavina, and that's where we spoke to there's a hotel there called La Misión Catavina, and it's the old mission, but I hooked up into their electricity. I asked them if I could, they had a Tesla charger there, which was cool. I was like, well, there's a Tesla charger here. I wouldn't
Yes.
that unless I came and checked it out. I saw the Tesla charger, and I was like, well, they have 240. I can use that for sure. They'll let me. And my van doesn't take Tesla charger, so I had to go back to the breaker and hook up to the breaker. Mm-hmm. And so I connected to 240 at the breaker, and then the van was charging, and then we went to another town called Vicente Guerrero, which was about maybe 100 miles to the north of that. So we got there, and a friend of a friend of a friend, I mean, you know how Mexico works. A friend of a friend of a friend was like, hey, I can help you. And then all of a sudden we're following this guy down a dirt road into his backyard, and he had a bunch of buddies who were welders and stuff, and they kind of like helped us bend everything back into place and try to get it back onto the roof of the van as best as possible. So the array kind of was fixed, like it was fixed-ish. It was
the structure.
You could work the structure, but all the solar arrays were bent and snapped, and there was cracks in them, and some of them were
the
really
solar
heavily grazed.
cells, they're brittle, so if you bend them too much, they crack, and then that's it. They don't work. They kind of work, but they don't really work.
They're flexible, so like if you flex them slowly, they kind of work. But what happened is the whole thing just landed, and everything sort of quickly snapped. So there was lots of cracked cells, and so anyway, I was sort of like, I'm just gonna see, like I have to see before I call this done. I have to see power, but and it was like, it wasn't very much money to get it fixed and stuff. They were very friendly and they helped us out a lot. So we put it all back together. I rewired all the solar panels, and then I like plugged it in. And then Keegan was leaving actually. Keegan was like, okay, I'm out. Like, I'm done with this freaking adventure. I'm going back to my girlfriend. And so we drove him to the bus station. And when I got back from the bus station, we drove into the lot where because my friend was driving her car. We drove back into the lot, and I looked up and my solar panels were just in flames. Like,
Oh,
they
no
just
way.
burned.